This is a 3D model, and I'm gonna show you how you can put a CG car just like this into any scene that's super fast, for free, and better yet, if this is your first time ever messing with visual effects or CGI, I'm gonna make this super easy for you because this is node rage. Step one, obviously, is gonna be go film your footage. But here's the thing, step two is gonna be motion tracking. After you film your video, we need to find out how your camera was moving in 3D physical space. That's motion tracking, and it's a nightmare. So if we can, just for your first time in visual effects, just to skip to the fun part, we're gonna skip it. Instead, you're gonna download an app on your phone for free called Omniscient, or there's also Camera Track AR. There's a lot of apps, but basically what they all do is as you're recording your video with your iPhone or whatever phone you have, as you're recording your video, they're using things like the gyroscope and the camera information and the LiDAR, all these little things to actually do the motion tracking for us. They are, as you're recording, finding out how your phone is moving, and I promise it's better than any track you could ever do. So just for today, we're gonna skip motion tracking, just to skip to the fun part, so let's go. All right, and we're actually gonna cut to voiceover because I went outside and there were people and I got embarrassed. You're gonna open up the Omniscient app, you're gonna click start, and then you're gonna click scan, and then we're gonna scan the area of where your car will be. You gotta move your phone a little bit for a minute, but then some lines are gonna pop up. There they are. And then you're gonna want these little geometry, these polygons to cover the surface of where your car will be. And also a little bit outside of that because we will be using this information for shadows later, but you'll see. So scan the entire area. Also take note of what the sun looks like outside. Ours is directly overhead and there's no clouds, which means very sharp shadows. You click the check mark when you're done and then the white circle to record. You can do this whole thing vertical. I do it all the time for my TikToks, but you can also do it horizontal. Then click the red square when you're done and then click the Omniscient logo in the corner. I'm actually gonna pause it right there. You can see the security guard over there in the corner. He made me feel embarrassed. But you're actually gonna click on settings first, and then you're gonna go to export, and then you're going to make sure that export in files is turned on. Without that, my phone crashed all the fucking time. Okay, now back, we can click on projects, and then you're gonna click on projects, and you're gonna find your video, and you're gonna click export. The default settings are perfect. We never used the depth video, but that's okay. Call it whatever you want. I'm gonna call my node rage test, I guess. Hit exports, and then now it's gonna save it in your files. You click that check mark, and then you can exit out of there. I don't know what I'm doing. My phone's so laggy. I had the iOS 26 developer beta, but that's no excuse because I'm stupid. Now go to your files. That was not the Wattpad app. That was something else. You're gonna go to your files, and then you're going to find the folder that you just created. There's the landscapers. I know I look like a fucking idiot with a GoPro strapped to my forehead. You're gonna find the video. There it is, Node Rage Test right under Minecraft. Click on it, hold it down. You're gonna click share, and I always share mine to Google Drive. Just whatever you gotta do to get this thing to your computer. Just click on Google Drive. Oh my God, dude, am I this slow in real life? You're gonna click upload. It's gonna be called file_000. Mine uploads pretty fast. It was done before I even got to my room. Okay, love you, bye. So once you do that, you're gonna download it. It's gonna look like this, file_000. It looks corrupt, I promise it's not. Just rename that, throw on a .zip at the end. Bam! It was actually a compressed folder the entire time. So you can right click, extract all, extract that. And then for the actual 3D CG part of this, we're gonna be using a program I know you've heard of called Blender. Even if you're not into visual effects or CGI, there's a 100% chance you've heard of this program. It's everywhere. It's very powerful and it is free. So you're gonna download the latest version you have. I have version 4.4.3, download that, boot it up. Once you do, you're gonna get a screen that looks like this. This is where you can click on your most recent projects, but you're not gonna have any, so you can actually just click off to the side. Now, this is the screen where most people give up, but not you. I'm gonna give you everything you need to know to survive this tutorial and be comfortable in Blender. First up, moving around. You click down on the middle mouse button, you can orbit objects. If you scroll with the middle mouse button, you can zoom in and out. And my favorite is if you hold down Shift and then the middle mouse button, you can strafe side to side. These are the basic movements of Blender. You can pretty much get in any position from here. If you get so freaking lost you don't know where anything is, this happened to me when I first started doing Blender and I got scared and I gave up. You're gonna hit the A key. What this is doing is you can see over here, it's selecting everything, and then you can hit the period key on your numpad to bring everything into view. And the numpad is very important. You should definitely get a keyboard with one of these because I'm gonna show you what else it can do. If you hit 7 on the numpad, it takes you down to a top-down view of your scene. If you hit 1, it takes you to a side view. 6, you can go side to side. 4, I really don't know all of these. all I know is that 7 is top down, 0 is the camera view, and 5 takes you in and out of perspective versus orthographic mode. If you're ever like, why does everything look funny? Just hit 5 on your numpad. If you don't have a numpad, don't worry. You can hit the tilde key and you have the exact same menu that I have. I can go however I want in here. Next up, to actually move objects around, you select them with your left click. You can select them over here, or you can also select them over here in your scene collection. We're going to be deleting everything, so have fun. We're going to move this cube every which way but loose. To move things around, it is the G key, and then you just move your mouse, and if you like where it is, you click to lock it down. If you move it and you don't like where it is, you can hit the escape key to go back, and there's always Control Z to go back. Not gonna lie, G is the worst hotkey because it makes no sense. Maybe G for grab, but R is to rotate objects. Same rules as before. If you rotate it, you don't like where it is, you can always hit escape. If you do like where it is, you can click down. And then there is S for scale. Same rules as before. But here's the most important thing you need to learn, and I'm gonna go slow for this part. In Blender, in any 3D modeling program, you have to be very precise with your movements. I took a college class on 3D modeling, and there was a student who refused to learn this, and they dropped the class. The professor would be like, oh, move the cube along the green line. That's the Y-axis, by the way. They would hit G, move it, and go, done. But what they don't know is it actually didn't move the way they thought it would. In Blender, you have to be very precise. 99% of the time you move something or rotate it or scale it, you're doing it by a specific axis. If I want to move it along that green line, the Y-axis, I hit G, and then I hit Y. And swing, it moves along. Same thing with rotate. If I want to rotate this along the red line, that's the X-axis, I hit R, X. Swing! If I want to scale it the up and down, that's Z, S-Z. Swing! Pretty freaking cool. That's an important thing you need to learn, okay? You have to be very precise. And also, that's global coordinates. Each object also has its local coordinates. If you hit N, you bring up this little location thing, and that's where you can see our global coordinates. But let's say this object was slightly askew, and I wanted to move it in this direction. Not necessarily along this red axis, the X-axis, but like up and down, just like this. So what you can hit is you can hit G, X, and that'll do what you think it would. But if you hit X again, it moves along its local coordinates. That's a very hard thing to really explain. You really just have to play around with it. I got better things to do. We want to make a car shot. Tab, if you have an object selected, like a mesh, not a camera or a light, but if you have a cube selected, a mesh object, you can hit tab to go into edit mode, and now you can play around with all these vertices. Same rules. G to move vertices around. If you select a multiple, you can hit R to rotate them. If you select a whole bunch, you can hit scale. Also, this is deciding what you're clicking on. Right now we're in vertice mode. You can see we're only moving vertices. If you click on edge mode, you can move edges, and there's also face mode. And again, there's always a shortcut. You can always hit 1, 2, or 3, not on your numpad, but on the top part right here. You are now a Blender professional. Is there anything I'm missing? Oh, and then tab to get out of edit mode. Shift A will always add things. We're going to go into other tabs. Shift A is to add. If we want to add, we can click search. Let's add like a plane. Swing. We can't see it, but we got to scale it up. Swing. Shift A, we can add in a sphere, not an empty sphere, but a mesh sphere. Either one of these. Swing. Have tons of fun. I don't have all data for this, but you do. Pause the video, make something. Do this. Shift D to duplicate objects. I have my keylogger on. You'll see things I'm doing. But now you have the rough fundamentals of Blender, and you are better than most people who've started up a Blender tutorial. So as I said before, hit A to select everything and X to delete it. Now it's immediately save your project because I always forget. Control S, let's just put this in my downloads. You're going to call yours Node Rage. I'm trying to make this catch on. Hit enter. We are now fucking cooking. Okay. Now let's actually get the footage that we recorded in the parking lot into our project, and it could not be easier. If you use the Omniscient app like I did, it's got its own little importer that saves us 1,000 years of headaches. And if you use the Camera Track AR app, I think they also have a very similar add-on. But I like Omniscient. So all we're going to do is we're going to click Get Add-on. Would you look at that? Drag and drop into Blender. Drag and drop into Blender. Boom! Done. Now you can go over to File, Import, and you're going to have this new little option, Omniscient. Click on that. Go to your file. It's going to be the only .omni file. Hit Import. Hit 0 to go to camera view and hit spacebar to play. And would you look at that? We already have a perfect track. We are already 1,000 years ahead of any other Blender tutorial. Also, if you hit Z, you have this new little menu. Put it to wireframe so we can actually see. Oh my God, look at how good that track is. And if we actually go outside of this, it's a little sideways. If you hit 7 and then move around, it's not sideways. But now if we hit play, look at our camera. This is better than any motion track you will ever get if you were to do it the manual way. Now, if you want to see something really cool, if you hit Z and you go to material preview, you're going to see something that looks like this. It's really trippy. What you're seeing is the footage that we recorded earlier being reverse projected out of our camera with all of our motion data back onto the ground that we scanned. Ideally, nothing should be moving. This is a good way to see if you have a good motion track. And this is also called reverse projection. If you've ever seen Corridor Digital's Brush with Death video, you just found out how they did it. I hope you're already imagining all of the unlimited possibilities you can do with something like this. We're going to be using this to actually get really good, accurate reflections on our car model. Pretty fucking cool, right? Let's actually get a car model in here. You're going to go to the next link in the description and you're going to go to sketchfab.com. Don't get me wrong, this is only Node Rage episode 1. I have big plans for the future, okay? I want to show you websites where you can get better car models, how you can get more niche cars, how you can customize your car, all of that. But just for episode 1, just to get to the fun part, you're going to go to Sketchfab and you're either going to type in a classic muscle car or a high-end luxury car. Those are the two types of cars that people are willing to model and give away for free. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's for their portfolio or something. Either way, I'm going to type in BMW. You're going to get a lot of really good models. If you see this logo, it means you can download it for free. If you see this logo, it means you can download it for money. If you don't see any logo, it means you can't download it even if you're Scrooge McDuck. Is that his name? I really like this car model. I've done this tutorial a billion times, fucking up every single time, and this car model has never given me any problems. So we're going to download this one. You're going to click download 3D model. You're going to have to make a free Sketchfab account. It's free, don't trip. And we're going to be downloading a GLTF. Normally I download things like OBJs or FBXs, but just for this tutorial, a GLTF is perfect. You'll see why in a second. Click download, and you're going to get another compressed file. We can right click, extract that out, and we can actually delete our old compressed folder. Delete that, swing. If you look in here, we just got a GLTF. Remember that, GLTF. I hate that Blender does this, but what you have to do is you go to File, Import, and you have to know what the file type is before you import it. I'm sure that makes sense, but I hate it. GLTF, BMW, right there, double click. Please don't crash. Save your project. Save your project. And swing! We are fucking cooking. The reason I like GLTFs is because they always parent everything to one empty. If you've ever been in After Effects, this is like a null. Empties are like the nulls of Blender. What this is it's nothing. This empty right here isn't our car. It is actually just something that all of our car parts are individually parented to, just to make our life easier. If you expand this, you can see the different parts and you can move around individual rims and tires and things. I don't want to do that. I just want to move just this root. So now let's position our car. Put our location back to 0, GY, you remember all this from the intro, GX. That looks pretty good. I'm actually going to rotate mine. R, Z. I forgot to say this earlier. You can also type in numbers. You got to be precise when you're in Blender. I hit R, Z to rotate along the Z axis, and I'm going to hit 180. Swing! Now it's facing the way would make more sense. Maybe RZ just a little bit. Just fine tune it. Make sure you're happy. That's pretty good. I don't know if this is accurate to how big a BMW is. I don't know how big this car is in real life. I know I have a parking lot for reference, but I'm happy with how this looks right here. So now what we're going to do is it's kind of sticking into our ground just a little bit. We're just going to lift it up. Just once I kind of have the rough idea, I can hit G, Z, move it up. And also, if you want to be more precise, like I said before, I should have mentioned in the intro, if you hold down Shift, you can move it just a little bit slower. So I'm not doing this shit. I can just hit Shift, move it just a little bit slower. I just want that just to kiss the ground. I want those tires just barely touching the ground. R, X, am I doing anything? R, Y. Do this until you're happy. Sometimes your axes aren't always what you think they are. Like if I hit G, Z, Z, you think that'd be up and down, but its local Z is actually here for some fucking reason. I'm pretty happy with this. If I hit solid view, and let's actually hide our ground. You can go over here in the scene collection. Hitting this eyeball hides it from us now, but when we hit render, it'll come back. So get rid of the camera to make sure we never render this thing. We are going to render it, but you'll see later. I'll walk you through it. Let's view it right now. That's pretty good. I could spend a little bit longer fine tuning this, but that won't really make a good video. So let's actually get to the next step, which is shading. We're going to set up all of our lighting and things like that. So save your project. Save your project. And what we're going to do now is we want to look at how this is going to look in the final output. We want to look at our rendered view, but let's make sure our computer's set up first. Render engine, you want cycles. By default, it's usually Eevee. I think Omniscient put it to cycles for us. And then under device, if you have a graphics card, good. You're going to select GPU compute. If you don't have one, if you're rocking with like a Mac, how I used to be, you have to stay on CPU. You can still do everything that we're going to do. It's just going to be a little bit slower. And also remember to save often. And also remember to go buy a Dell computer as soon as you can. So we're going to select GPU compute. that, and we're gonna go over to Edit, Preferences, System. This is my work computer. It's not my Dell at home, but I have CUDA, and just make sure your graphics card is selected. I don't know the difference between optics or CUDA. You could select your CPU, but I wouldn't. It doesn't really help out with the rendering. It just kind of makes your computer slower for no reason. So optics, CUDA, whatever, I don't know what these things are, but just to make sure your graphics card is been selected and it's correct. Escape out of there, and now we can hit Z and go to rendered view, and it doesn't look like how we think it would look like because we have no lighting on our object, you fucking idiot. So what we're gonna do is we need to put light on our object. Now, if you're doing this effect for like a major blockbuster or your short film you're really passionate about, typically you're gonna wanna take what's called an HDRI. It's a 360 image taken from where your object's gonna be at different levels of exposure. It's like a perfect way to get nice, accurate reflections on your object, nice, accurate lighting, but they're kind of a pain in the ass to get. Now, you could get a really expensive 360 camera. I have one of those, but the thing is, if I have an idea for a visual effect shot, I don't always have it on me. But what I used to always have on me was my phone, and there used to be an app called HDRI, and it was pretty cool. It allowed you to take HDRI images with your phone. You would just stand where your object's gonna be, and then take like a bunch of photos like this, and it would stitch together into a really good HDRI. But then they got fucking greedy and were charging you per HDRI, which is bullshit. So I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do it, and honestly, it looks better than both of those methods combined. So what we're gonna be doing, and I already kind of said it, we're gonna be using our scan from before. You can also name things. Why have I not named this? Double click, just call it scan with the caps lock stuck on. And what we're gonna be doing is using this kind of technology, our reverse projection method, mixed with just grabbing a random HDRI pretty much. Not a random one. Maybe skim your video, really look at like your surroundings. I'm in a parking lot. There's some greenery over here. That's about it. And then you're gonna go over to a website, the next one in the description, called Polyhaven. You're gonna get tons of free models, textures, and HDRIs. Most importantly, HDRIs. These guys are undefeated. And you're gonna scroll and look for one that closely matches your video. The most important thing is like looking at that horizon line, if it looks similar to yours, and then also looking at the lighting. Let's look at our video again. It's kind of hard to see in this video, but there is a shadow right over here from a tree. So we know the lighting is coming from behind, and I think I recorded this at like 1 o'clock. It's pretty overhead. So I'm gonna go back to Polyhaven. I'm gonna look at these balls. What I'm looking for is somewhat sharp shadows. It was a clear day, something like this, but with more overhead lighting. And I also want similar horizon. I was in a parking lot. So I'm gonna look for a parking lot with overhead lighting. And that sounds really specific, but I'm probably gonna find it in 5 seconds. I'm not even gonna use the search feature. Bam, found it right here. This looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but I'm gonna show you in 5 seconds how we're gonna make it perfect. Like, look at that's pretty okay lighting, and I like the horizon. Perfect. I can download 4K and download. You could go high. You could go like 16K, but it's just gonna make your render slower. You could go 2K, son. So now we have that downloaded into our downloads folder, and now we're actually gonna leave what we've come to know as home. We're gonna leave layout, and we're gonna go over here to shading. And now it's like a whole new world. From here, you can play with the materials of your object. If I were to select my car, I could change the color of it. I can make it green. Sure, why not? But most importantly, we're gonna be using this to put our HDRI in. So go over here to object. We're currently in object mode. We wanna go to world mode. We wanna change the shading of our world. Now I could, don't do this, I could hit Shift A and add what's called an environment texture, but that took way too long. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna download your next add-on. You're gonna go to Edit, Preferences, and I promise you everyone else already has this add-on on. I promise I'm not giving you useless add-ons. Go to add-on and you're gonna type in Node Wrangler, click that, and what that allows you to do is save maybe like 3 seconds of your total life. What you can do is you click on background, hit Control T, and it's gonna bring in not only our environment texture, but a mapping node. We're gonna need this in 5 seconds. And don't look at this. You're not gonna need that for today. You're gonna hit open and then go to your downloads folder. There's mine. We can't see it. We gotta go to rendered view. Bang! Our car has lighting. Oh, it's already lined up pretty good. If we hit 0 to view it. Whoa, dude. It's pretty bright lighting. But look at that, dude. It's already got... and you're done. No, I'm just kidding. So if your lighting isn't already seemingly perfectly lined up like mine, you use this mapping node to reorientate your world. If you want to see what that looks like, I think, I don't want to get too scared right here. If you go to render and you go to film and you turn off transparent, you can see your world, the world that we're using for lighting. And then you can reorientate that right here with the rotation. It's just Z pretty much. Swang! Would you look at that? This is actually confusing me. So I'm going to turn back on transparent. Make sure that's on when you hit render. That looks, it's very laggy. Why are you so laggy? That's probably because I got OBS going. That's my bad. I think it's a little bit more angled. I think maybe I can also play with the Y a little bit. Is that going to change anything? If you mess with anything other than Z, it will mess with your reflections. Like you're going to see in the reflection of your car, your world is askew. So really, that's why you really want to find one with a very similar lighting. I think, honestly, I'm pretty fine. I think that looks pretty good. If I go back to layout, I use the timeline thing to scooch around. That looks pretty freaking awesome, you guys. Control S, save your project. Action. Save your project. You thought I was gonna go. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty happy with this. It doesn't look realistic yet because we haven't done any compositing. That's what takes your render to realistic. But for the render, this is looking pretty good. But let's say you're not as happy as me. Let's say you're seeing problems in the reflection, like you're seeing where your scan completely ends. What I'm gonna show you now is how we're still gonna use this scan. You can hide it for right now. A little shortcut, if you hit H, also hide it. We are gonna create our own scan. What you're gonna do is you are gonna hit Shift A and you're gonna add in a plane. Scale this thing just super huge like that, just cover the whole world. So what we're gonna do with this plane is we're gonna take all that information that our scan had with that reverse projection stuff, and we're gonna do it to this plane. There is a way to do it if you don't have Omniscient. It's not a pain in the ass, but it's just a little bit too complex for this first tutorial, and Omniscient already did it for us. So with your plane selected in the material tab, don't click new. You're gonna go to the pre-existing materials, scroll down, look at, there's our scan. Swing! It's already done for us. Pretty freaking cool. And let's build up a wall. I'm not trying to get too advanced into modeling because I'm not good at it, but you can see right here a wall begins in my video, and I want it to go upwards. I don't just want it to keep going on forever. I want it to be more accurate of my real world. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit tab to go into edit mode, hit Control R, and bring my mouse to this edge actually over here, and I'm gonna line it up with my wall, just like that. If you click somewhere and it's not close to your wall, you can always hit GG to slide it around. So slide it next to my wall. Doesn't have to be perfect. Reflections are very forgiving. And then we're gonna hit E to extrude it, and we're gonna hit Z just to go straight up. Bang! It doesn't have to be perfect, just like that. Now if we look at this, maybe not the best example. I wish I was a little bit closer to the wall to be a better example, but now we might just have slightly better reflections. Look at right there. We can see a little bit of our wall, but most importantly, we can see where it's ending, which is not good. So what we're gonna do is, I made that wall a little too tall. Maybe with it selected, I can hit G, Z, and just move it down just a little bit. It was only about that tall. And also, I don't like all this gray area. That's being reflected in our scan. So what we're gonna do is we have our scans, our plane selected. I can't find my my notes. Oh, there they are. But let's say I couldn't find them. Like, remember what I told you to do earlier? If you get lost, A period key. Swing! Look at this. This is our footage. I'm not trying to get too advanced. That's why I chose to do it this way. This is our footage. All you need to mess with is this third one right here. This decides what to do with the information that we don't have. Like right now it's set to clip. So when our video ends, it's just clipping. It's just nothing. But if we put it to like repeat, it repeats our video. Pretty cool. If we were to do extend, it grabs the edge pixels. This is the most useless one. Don't use extend. But we're going to use mirror. It kind of unfolds our area. It's not perfect, but just for reflections, it's a little wonky also. Sometimes it can mess up. Sometimes you can see reflections moving a little wonky like this. Maybe this wasn't the best way to do it. Maybe that actually might screw us over. Sometimes that works, but it's not working for us here. So actually, forget what I just said. Maybe that works in your case. It's just moving just a little bit too much. Sometimes if you're really slow, it's okay, but the camera's moving just really fast. I filmed this kind of wrong. So I'm actually going to take mine back to clip. This might be a bad idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to hit Shift A. I'm going to add in a mix. Ooh, just follow along. Just follow along. I think we're doing pretty good. Add a mix shader node. Plug this into here. Ooh, I think we're doing it. Plug this into here. Add in a transparent BDSF. Ooh, you don't have to know what I'm doing. Just do it. Swing and plug the alpha information into the factor. That's kind of like clip, but slightly better. Now, whatever information we don't have actually just doesn't exist. Swing! All right, I think that's actually pretty good. It kind of looks a little distorted in the reflection. Maybe this was a bad idea. No, it's a good idea. I'm a genius. Okay, so now we actually don't want to see this plane. If we were to hit render right now, we're going to see all of this plane in our render, and we don't want that. We just want our car. So we're going to go over to here, our object properties, and here under visibility, did I already have this open? Under visibility, you can select how this plane will be seen. I don't want to see it in the camera. Swing! It's already gone. I don't even want to see it in the diffuse. You don't have to know what this is. We only want to see it in the glossy. So we're only seeing it through reflections. I might have got a little too advanced and off the script right there, but I think that was for the better. And if you're wondering why, I don't know if I said this, if you're wondering why we're still seeing it in the camera view, if we were to select our camera and go here, it's because we have have background images on. Turn that off. I don't know if it matters when you render, but you can just turn it off for now. And also, don't forget, while I have it open, go to compositing. This is what Omniscient does by default. It's not good. Just turn off use nodes. That's important. Now let's go back to shading. Guys, we're reaching the end. We're about to hit render soon. Let's bring back in our scan. I want to see that because what our scan is doing is actually, remember how we have our object properties? By default, this scan is set to shadow catcher, which is pretty freaking chill of Omniscient. It already set us to a mode that we needed. If we were to hide, if we were to turn this off, we'll see that it's how we saw it before in material preview. But by turning it on to shadow catcher, it's saying that we're only using this object to capture shadows. It's only going to give us this shadow patch right here, nothing else. I think we're pretty much fucking done, dude. We can start setting this thing up to render. Look, I can see the reflection right here. My mouth is watering, dude. Did I move the plane up? If I were to go back to solid view, the plane's kind of really low. I'm just going to scooch that up just so it doesn't have to be perfect. Reflections are very forgiving. I'm just going to bring it up just a little bit like that. Okay, I'm actually pretty ready to render this. I'm pretty happy, but one thing I'm seeing, and maybe you're seeing it just now too, is our plane and our scan are interacting in a way that is not doing it for me. They're fighting each other, and I don't want that. So without going too in depth on what's happening here, just to keep it simple, you're going to go over to the shading tab, and with either your scan or your plane selected, they're the same material. You're going to go over here to your principal BDSF, you're going to drop metallic down to 0, and you're going to crank roughness to 1. For reasons that I know, but I don't want to go too in depth, that will fix it. I think we're ready to render this thing out. Let's freaking do it. All right, render settings. Now, by default, Blender's render settings are pretty good, except for where they're not. Those are fucking terrible. So if you go over here to your main render tab and you look at this, don't do this. You do not need noise threshold on, and you certainly don't need 4096 samples. If you hold your mouse over it, it'll tell you more information than I'm going to say, but just know that samples are how accurate your video is going to be and how consistent they're going to be on a frame-to-frame basis. If you do something like 8 samples, your video is going to look AI generated. It's going to look like you have a ton of denoise on it. It's going to look really wonky. So you should go higher up, but the higher you go, the longer it's going to take. So if you have a Mac, I'm not even kidding, 16 samples might be an overnight render. You might hit render and have to wait like 5 minutes per frame. For if you had my shitty old Mac. If you have a graphics card, you can go a lot higher. I think we're supposed to be going in numbers of like 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. I don't know where I heard that from, but I've stuck to it. I'm going to do 128 just so I can, I'm not waiting all day to finish this video. But if you have a Mac, I'm not going to lie, my earliest Blender things were done on a Mac, but my cards were moving so fast, I wasn't worried about consistency. If you have a shot like this is where you might notice it. Next up, we're going to go over to performance and tiling. I'm going to turn this off. Maybe this is the setting. If you have a Mac, turn this on. It does little sections of the frame at a time just to stop the computer from crashing. If you have it off, I think you should try with it off, but if it crashes, maybe turn on use tiling. And then persistent data. Turn this on. For this exact scenario where you're just rendering one simple object, just one thing, it's not a full CG render with tons of reflections and shit like that, turn this on. This will, because when you hit render, every single frame your computer's going to go, what am I doing? Oh, a BMW. Next frame, what am I doing? Oh, a BMW. It's going to keep doing that. But if you turn on persistent data, it's almost like writing it on a sticky note and it goes, BMW. It just goes a lot faster, and I'm gonna rush. So we're gonna do persistent data, turn off use tiling, and I think that's it for this tab. And there's other settings you can do if you look up other videos like best Blender settings, but by default, this is pretty good. Now let's go to the next tab, output. This is 1920 by 1080p, and this is just deciding how much of that is true. If we go 100%, it will do 1920 by 1080. If we go 50%, it's gonna go whatever 50% of this is. So if you're on a time crunch, or honestly, what I like to do, I'm gonna do like 80%. I'm not even on really a time crunch, but it's not like your phone is rendering out at like 100%. You know what I mean? Like when you record 4K in your phone, it's not really 4K. It's like 1080 with some good post-processing, with some good upscaling. So maybe I won't go 80. I'm gonna go like 90%. It's not only just to save on time, but it's also to kind of get more of that iPhone feel. It already has our frame rate set up, 30 frames per second. That's our time length. That's perfect. Output. I'm gonna put this on let's put it on my downloads. You're gonna create a new folder. We're not gonna be rendering out a video file. We're actually gonna be rendering out image sequences. And when I first started getting heavy into like CGI and compositing, I hated the idea of using image sequences. Why do I have 2 projects? Did one crash? I promise you will learn to love image sequences. We're going to call this node rage. Tell your friends, node rage _EXR. Foreshadowing. Double click into that folder. And here's where you're going to call, because we're going to have multiple images. This is where you're going to set up what each of those images are called. You're going to call it node _rage _EXR _ and then Blender for every image, it will add 4 numbers after this. The first frame will be node rage EXR EXR0001. The next one will be node rage EXR0002. So just leave it blank like that. Node underscore rage underscore EXR underscore accept. And I said EXR, and we're going to use EXR. Under your file format, you are going to go to Open EXR Multilayer right there. By multilayer, it means that we're going to get multiple layers if you would have thought that. Because I want our shadow pass separately than our car pass. I want to modify the shadow differently. I want the shadow to be a little bit blue, and I want the car, I want to change it whatever color I want when we're doing compositing. This is very important. When you're doing compositing, you want as many layers as possible, but not more than you need, because that'll lead to a giant file size. So what we're going to do next, we're going to go to the next tab, View Layer. These are the layers that we are going to render out. By default, Omniscient's already got our back. We got Combined and we got Shadow Catcher. These are the two passes that we're going to need. I think we're ready to render this thing out. Let me double check if there's anything I'm missing. Make sure you got in your compositing tab, Use Nodes is off. Don't forget that. Make sure these make sense. Make sure if you're seeing something now, if you want to see it later, make sure those all make sense. All right, I remembered something. Okay, if you click on your camera over here and then you click down here on your camera data, let's turn back on background images just for now. So the cool thing about Omniscient, what it does is if you're like focusing on something, if you're like filming something really close and the background's out of focus and then you move it like that and it adjusts focus, Omniscient remembers that information and it does put it into your project file. Pretty cool, that's awesome. Everyone say thank you Omniscient, but one thing that it doesn't do is that it doesn't actually know the f-stop of our phone. It looks like it changed it to 6.6, but I've had before where it looks like this. It gave my phone a way more shallow depth than I actually have. This is an exaggeration, but if you look at like your spoiler or something like that and it looks a little bit out of focus, or like that, it might look a little bit out of focus, which doesn't make any sense because like things behind it are in focus and things in front of it are in focus. Your iPhone, especially when you record the default settings out in like broad daylight, it's got a pretty tiny aperture. There is no bokeh, there is no depth of field. So all I'm saying here is either if you record in broad daylight, you can just turn off depth of field. You don't need any bokeh really, or you can set your f-stop to something like 15, I don't know, maybe like 12. Honestly, I'm going to turn off my depth of field. Unless you recorded, like I said before, you record something super close and then you panned up and it racked focus, that's when you would mess with your f-stop. I'm going to turn off background images. All right, that was the last thing I wanted to say. You boys ready? What we're going to do is we're going to hit Control S. We're going to save our project one more time. Save your project. I like to put mine in solid view. I don't know why, it makes me feel better. It feels like it's less boggy on the computer, so while it's rendering, it's not also rendering here. And I'm gonna hit Control F12 or go to Render, Animation, click, shway. Looks like we're done. Okay, so we can close out of here, save your project. You can exit out of here. We will be back. But now we're on to my favorite step, compositing. This is where your render becomes realistic. This is the most important step of doing good CGI. And we're going to be using a program called Nuke. And every time I talk about Nuke or anytime I make a TikTok showcasing it or anything, top comment is always, Nuke, that costs so much money. You should be giving your money to Adobe instead. What does this say right here? Free video compositing. You can get Nuke 100% for free for a lifetime trial with Nuke Non-commercial. Download this. You have to make a Foundry account, but download this. Full disclosure, I am sponsored by Foundry, so I do get the full version of Nuke for free, but for this tutorial, I will be using the free version, Nuke X Non-commercial. When you download this, it's going to give you a whole bunch of different nukes. It'll be like Nuke, Nuke X, Nuke Indie, Nuke Studio. Just make sure you boot up Nuke X Non-commercial. I'm going to boot up the same thing. I'm following along. Everything so far has been 100% free. When that command prompt comes up, you can just minimize it. Oh, it's up. All right, Nuke Non-commercial. Look at that. All right, you got to go full screen, and it's very similar to Blender with the navigation. The middle mouse button moves things around. You can move anything around. If you get lost, you just click on the middle mouse button, and also in Blender when you hit Shift A to add things, and here it is Tab. You hit Tab to add things, but most importantly, all of your shortcuts that we're going to be doing are dependent upon where the mouse is. If my mouse is over here and I hit Tab, I'm going to be adding in new nodes, but if I hit Tab over here, it's going to put me in 3D mode, and that is scary. So just make sure you know where your mouse is the entire time. Let's bring in our footage. Let's hit Tab. You're going to type in read. This is a read node. We need to bring our footage in. I saved mine on downloads, I think. Yeah, node rage EXR. If you're looking at something like this, like all the individual pictures, just click on sequences and it should be one thing. Node rage.exr, open up, and how we view things in Nuke, make sure your node is selected that you would like to view and you hit 1. You're not going to see anything. I'll get to that in a second, but that's how you view things. This is your little viewer node. You click on your node and you hit 1 to view it. If you would like to disconnect it, you could grab it like this, or what the funnest thing in the world is you can actually shake things loose. I wish Blender did that. It would make my life a whole lot easier. If you ever have a node you need to disconnect, You just shake it. Cutest thing in the whole world. But why can't we see our footage, our render? Do we render it wrong? No. Remember, we did open multi-layer EXR, which means we have multiple layers right here, and Nuke doesn't know which one we want to look at. So what we need to add is a shuffle node. Make sure your node that you would like to add the node after is selected. If I just click over here and I hit tab and I add shuffle, it's not going to be attached to anything. But if I click over here and hit tab and go shuffle, it's going to be attached. And these are our properties over here. Every time we open up a new node or mess with it, it's going to be at the top of the list, and it can go up to 10. I don't want 10. That's a little overwhelming. Set this to 1. Bing. That way, whatever we click on, we're only looking at one thing at a time. That'll save you from being overwhelmed like me. So we have our shuffle node connected. RGBA to RGBA sounds right, but actually it doesn't know what layer we want to look at, what pass we want to look at. We want to look at view layer combined. Bam! There's our car. And would you look at that? Nuke already set up our frame range to the amount of frames in our thing. Pretty freaking awesome. And if we select this maybe to shadow catcher, whoop, there's our shadow catcher. This is a good time to save your project. Save your project. Same thing in Blender, Control S, Home. I'm putting mine in Downloads. You just put it right here. I'm going to call this Node Rage. Bam, your first Nuke script. Now let's get our footage that we recorded off of our phone into Nuke, and here's where we reach the first part where some of you might die. If we were to drag our video, just like here, you can also drag videos in just like this. If we were to drag this right into Nuke, you're gonna get an error message. That's because Nuke supports like every file type except H.264. It's a very professional program meant for like Lord of the Rings and Marvel and all that shit. It's not expecting to work with your base iPhone footage. It works with Apple ProRes, it works with image sequences, obviously. It hates H.264. I think this is where a lot of people see this and go, back to After Effects. And maybe Nuke does it on purpose to keep the losers away. So what we're gonna do is we just need to quickly convert this. We need to convert our video that we already have into an image sequence. We don't have to download a new program, just open up Blender again, okay? I know this kind of sucks. There's no real good defense for it. Nuke just support H.264, but we're gonna open up Blender. You don't need to open up your previous project. We're not even gonna save this one. Simply go to Compositing, use nodes, delete render layers, Shift A, movie clip, drag image to image, open, find your video. You're not going to see it unless you have a viewer node. This is not mandatory. Viewer node. Now go to your output settings, 1920 by 1080, perfect. 20 frames per second, psych, it doesn't matter, but just set it to 30 just so it's accurate. I don't know. How long is our video? We can quickly look at Nuke real fast and see it is 247. Back to Blender. Why does my Blender look like that? 247. PNG, we don't need RGBA, we need RGB. Color depth, I think H.264 on your phone by default is 8. And if you were to do ProRes, I think that's 10. So keep that at 8. Compression, no compression. Where are we going to save this? Downloads, new folder, just call it footage PNGs. Double click into there. We just did this, remember? Footage underscore PNGs underscore accept. And that's it. Control F12. It's going to take 5 seconds. Look at how fast it goes. Bam! Already done. Exit, exit. Don't even save that project. Go into Nuke. Tab, read, image. I'm having too much fun talking like this. Go to your footage. What do we call it? Footage PNGs? What the fuck? Footage PNGs, double click, and now if we hit 1 to view that, now we have our footage. Nuke isn't scary. Control S. And also, now that we have multiple things to look at, I can show you, you don't actually just have one viewer that you can click 1 and 1. You can do 1, you can do 2, you can do 3, you can do 4. You can have a whole bunch of viewers, like 1 and 2, making like A and B things. Also, by the way, you're probably wondering how to play things. You're probably hitting space and this is happening. Space just takes you to full screen mode. With your mouse over the viewer, you're gonna hit L to go forward, J to go back, and K to pause. Again, if you hit K over here, you're going to get a copy node. All of your shortcuts are heavily dependent upon where your mouse is. Now, also, before I forget, let's set our project settings. With your mouse over node graph, hit S, change your FPS to 30, and your full size format, and this is your aspect ratio, and here's where we reach the first and only limitation I have found of working within the free version of Nuke. You can only export max at 1080p. You can't do 4K. You need the full version for that. And if you did vertical, by the way, you can still keep editing how you're editing. Just at the very end, you have to rotate it to 1080p horizontal, export it, and then on your phone, you can rotate it back. So set your project settings to 1080p. It kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie, but what do you expect? It's a full free version of the most powerful compositing program. Yeah, you can't do 4K, but if your video's not good in 1080p, it's not gonna magically be better in 4K. Save your project. Save your project. Now let's get compositing. If you come from After Effects or any other layer-based programs, how they typically work is you put your base footage on the top, and then you put your next thing on top, and you're putting things on top as you go up. Nuke is the opposite. You kind of have things at the top, and you add them into a final result, almost like an upside-down pyramid. And Nuke is designed that way, like all of the nodes have an input at the top and an output at the bottom. So basically, I'm trying to say that we're going to be using something, and this is the professional workflow, we're going to be using, I think it's called the B pipe or the B pipeline. And how we add things, let's put, like if we wanted to put this on top of here, like we obviously do, what we need to do is we need to add a merge node, or shortcut, you can hit M. And it's called the B pipe because when you automatically add things like this, bang, it connects to the B. B stands for behind, A stands for on top. Sounds dumb, it'll help you. Connect this here. Our car's transparent. Make sure you connected the alpha to the alpha in the shuffle node. Bang, it's on top. And if you're wondering why is it stretching like this, it's because if you remember, we didn't export our video, our CG out at full 1080p. We did, I think, 90%. If we were to view it right here, we'd see that it's actually 1728 by 972, and our OG footage is actually 1080p. So we need to convert that to 1080p. And don't worry, there's no math. You're going to add a reformat node, and by default, it's set to your project settings, 1920 by 1080p. Put that right there, bang, and now we're cooking. Click here, view this, hit L to play. Ladies and gentlemen, you are a VFX generalist now. You're a professional Nuke compositor. You're a professional CGI expert animator. You did it. Thanks for watching. Okay, now let's make this look good. So let's give ourselves some room. Okay, so now let's add one of the most common nodes you're going to be using today, and that is the grade node. You could type it in like that, but like all common nodes, we already know there's a shortcut. G for grade. Drag that right here, and you can already start playing with your video, your car, to make it match your footage as best as you can. But if you notice for a split second there, if you were to lower the black point, it affects everything. I just want this area right here, this line, to only affect my car. And I don't want to get too in depth and lose some of you. I'm just going to show you how you set it up to do that, and I'll explain loosely afterwards. What we're going to do, we are going to hit tab, add what's called a pre-molt node, put that right before reformat. It looks like we're done, but we're not, okay? Then what we're going to do is we are going to add a tab unpremult node. Trust me, it's better if I just don't explain it and you just do it and you have fun. So now what we're going to do is we're also going to add a copy node, and I think you already know how we do that with a K shortcut. Drag that right before the pre-molt. It should auto-connect the B right here. And then to stay organized in Nuke, you have what are called dots. You can hold down Control and grab one of these yellow things. And this is how most people stay organized in Nuke, just like that. But you can also hit tab and type it in right there, dot. We're going to put a dot right here, and we're going to connect our A right here. That's just so if we didn't have this, we'd get a little confused. Anyway, add that right there, hold down Control. Look how organized we're staying. I think that was actually it. Before I explain what we did right there, I want to show you one more important thing that you need to know if you're going to be in Nuke. With your mouse over the viewer, if you hit R, you can view the red channel. If it's black, there's no red. If there's white, there's a lot of red. If you hit G, you can view green. If you hit B, you can view blue. If you hit A, you can view alpha. If you hit whatever you hit again last, you'll go back to normal. That's a very important thing to see in Nuke, and you can also see this information down here. Basically, so what we did... Hopefully that loosely makes sense. So we can delete this grade node. We actually don't want to ruin our car footage. And now we have this little playground right here where we can add whatever we want. And a lot of nodes in Nuke are very self-explanatory. I'll do a little bit of compositing, but I really just want to get you set up so you can do this too. So let's add in a grade node. That's probably the first thing that we're going to do. I hate that I'm trying to help you out in Nuke, but every time I show you something, it looks like Nuke's a bad program. But if you're to click on this and hit G, it's going to add it right here, which we don't want it to do. So anytime I have a node that splits off into two areas, I only want it on one, I just kind of click off to the side, hit G, bring it in. I'm trying to help you, but I realize that makes Nuke look bad. So now we have our grade node, and now we can play with it whatever we want. It's only affecting our car. So what we should do now is make our CG blacks match our realistic blacks and all that. And Nuke does this auto for you in a pretty nifty way. With black point over here, click on this eyedropper tool, and then hold down Control Shift and highlight the darkest part of your car. It's going to auto put it right there. Perfect. Now with the white point, click right here, select the brightest part of your car, probably this BMW logo. Shwang! Swing. Perfect. And now with lift, click over here, select the darkest part of your real footage, probably like right over here. Swing. And then with gain, select the brightest part of your source image, probably the sky. I can't imagine anything brighter than the sky. And then control right click to get rid of that little, what's that called? Like an eyedropper type deal. It's not an immediate solution. It's not a perfect fix, but that's a really good jumping off point to have our colors loosely matched. It already looks a little bit better. And then of course we can keep playing. I would leave this grade node as it is. We can always add another one and then really hone it in. I feel like my car's still a little too bright. I feel like actually it could be brighter. Actually, when I made it brighter, I like that. And here's the cool thing about Nuke. Anything you want to do, chances are there's a node called that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, right now it looks really saturated. I want to drop the saturation. I can go over here, hit tab, type in saturation, and there's a node for that. Let's drop the saturation. Is it the right move? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't need less saturation, it's just not the right shade of green. Okay, so I want to shift the hue. Let's hit tab, hue, shift. Swing, we are cooking. Was that the right node? No, it wasn't. Maybe tab, hue, correct. There we go. I want to correct the hue. I'm trying to make this make sense. Our green looks a little off. What is this green over here? And you see I'm moving my mouse. It's moving the thing over here. Pretty freaking cool. I'm not going to act like I'm a professional compositor, but my stuff looks good because I have so much fun doing this. I literally just dick around in Nuke until I'm happy with my video. That's kind of looking a little bit better. If I drop the greens, if I shift them just a little bit more towards blue, it kind of matches these trees just a little bit better. And I feel like I'm already getting a little bit too lost in the sauce. Like I already look like I'm pretty confusing. I don't know what I'm doing either. I literally just play around. I go, oh man, what would make this look better? Maybe some grain. Maybe it needs more noise. Like look at how noisy my real footage is. And this is like perfect. Hit tab, type in grain. This is the fun of Nuke. We're having fun. That's too much grain. Wow, I like that. That looks better. This is the fun of Nuke. And if I'm like, oh shit, I made the ground really bluish purple. What you should do is you click on whatever node you think it might be, hit D. That's not it. Probably hue correct. Hit D. Yeah, I made the car a little too blue. You are set up for success with this. This is your little area where you can add whatever you want for the car, okay? Pretty freaking cool. That doesn't look so bad. If you wanted to make it blurrier, hit tab, blur, or we use blur a lot, you can hit B for blur. I'm not trying to sound passive aggressive. I just don't want you to follow me step by step. Everyone's footage is unique. I'm just trying to give you the tools. Hit tab, you can type in sharpen. I really do sound like a dick right now. I'm not trying to be. There is no correct way to composite. I'm sure someone at Foundry will actually tell you there is, but not with me. There is no proper way to composite. We are just having fun. Look at, make it a little sharper. Ooh, look at that. Maybe go to sharpen. Oh no, maybe go to blur. Ooh, we're having fun. Ooh, look at that. Swang! Looking pretty freaking good. I like to do the shadow last just because I don't know. Once you see the shadow, you're going to be like, maybe it's the shadow that's off. Make this look as good as it can and then add the shadow and that'll be the piece de resistance. I mean, I don't want you to look up nodes. I literally just want you to play around and feel like, oh man, the color's off. Maybe I need to correct it. Well, there's a color correct node. Swang! What does this do? Oh, you can play with the master saturation. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. You can play with the master contrast. Oh, I just want to actually go to the highlights and I want to drop the saturation of the highlights. That's a fair thing to do. When things get blown out, when they get really bright, they lose saturation. Maybe drop the saturation just a little bit. The world is pretty boring. That's looking pretty freaking decent. Yeah, you could. I like to zoom in on random parts and go, do I believe this part of the image? And I go, no, something's off. We need more grain. Store it a little bit. I feel like it should be tinier. I feel like the grain should be really fine. Yeah, like that. This is fun, okay? We're having fun. This is what visual effects is all about. That's not looking so bad. It's definitely color. I'm not very good with color, but like I said before, you go to R, G, B, you mess with these. And also, I forgot to say this. Whoo, my bad. If we go to grade, if you want to actually mess with the color, like let's go to gain, click on this color wheel, and that's where you can mess with the actual color of things. I feel like the whole thing's really blue. Let's drop the blue a little bit. That's a little green. Maybe it was too much cyan. Maybe increase the red a little bit. That looks better. All right, let's add in that shadow. Now the shadow should actually go in before the car that we have on top. And we can always scooch things back up. That's the fun of nodes. Bring this right back here. And what we're going to do, this is our original car CG render. Hold down control, bring in another one right here. Tab, shuffle, plug in, double click, set this to shadow catcher. If you view that, perfect. We're going to have to add a reformat node in a second. But let's do it now. Tab, reformat. Dude, this is so much fun. Perfectly set. Now what we're going to do to do our shadow, a lot of people add it like on top. I actually want to use this shadow as a way to change our footage underneath. I want to use this as a mask. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit G to add in a grade node. We're going to bring it right here. Let's even view it, in fact. And on the right side of every node is a mask. That means this node will only be applied to the mask of whatever we give it. So we're going to plug the mask in right here from reformat. And let's do something to this grade node. Let's just play with these things so we can see when it's actually doing something. Which, why are you not doing something? Oh, because if we double click on our grade node, by default, our mask is the alpha. Set it to anything, R, G, or B. Red. Cool. Now let's view that again. Perfect. It's doing something. So the opposite of what I want, because if we look at this again and it's applying by the white, it's affecting everything but our shadow. Quick little fix. Tab invert node. I can't tell you enough how Nuke is so straightforward. So add an invert node right there. Shwang. Look at that. Now we can actually delete this grade node, put another one just because I fucked up the last one. Why do you plug in like that? There we go. Now let's look at our final thing. This is so much fun. And double click on our grade node. And now we can actually, I don't know, drop the gain. Oh, I deleted this one. Just set it back to red. Okay, whoops. Shwang. We can drop the gain. Let's go to that beginning where we kind of saw our shadow for a second. We can kind of compare these two. I want this shadow to look just like this one. And the easier way to do that, tab transform. We can actually quickly just put this shadow right next to that one. And then when we're done, we will delete this transform node. Fine tune our shadow. I know I feel like I'm skimming through this part, but really this is what compositing is all about. I'm giving you the tools to set you up so you can do whatever you want. There is no proper way. I don't know what your footage looks like. I don't know what your CG looks like. I don't even know what car you're using, but I hope you send it to me when you're done. I want to see what everyone made. Perfect. Let's look at color. Hit R. This is our red channel. It's a little bit too dark in the reds. So let's go to our gain, click on this color wheel, play with the reds till these match. Looks good. G for green. Our green's really dark. Let's increase that so it matches. Not bad. B for blue. Oh, wow. It is really blue. So let's increase that just a little bit. And it's a little too blue. Where did I go wrong? Probably in the red. Sometimes I like to do that. I like to look at what they look like on the individual channels. Gets me close, but it also gets me pretty far. But I usually know what to do by then. Sometimes actually, I'm lying, dude. Sometimes I just eyeball it like this and go, that looks good. Maybe make it a little bit darker. Maybe it was too blue. This is what 99% of CG is. You're going, Hide this transform node. Shwang! It is there. I feel like it should be darker. I just have the multiply. Yeah, I like that. That's what the invisible boatmobile looks like. I know I kind of went really step by step on the Blender part. The Nuke, we kind of flew through it. I'm not in a rush, a little bit, but I really just don't want you to follow me step by step tutorial. Not that you were going to, but I want you to understand that compositing is unique for every piece of footage. Everything's going to be different. I just want to give you the tools and you can keep going. This is fun, dude. Can we add a glow node? Can we like make our car kind of like shine? Like, oh my God, it's so bright. It's glowing. Yeah, put a glow node right there. Why not? It's almost like a lens flare. Tolerance. This is deciding what is too bright for the sensor. We'll put that pretty high. I just want this little part right here to be like, whoa, ka-chow. Put it like that. Shwang. Maybe it's not so bright. Maybe it's just a little bit of extra brightness. The size, maybe it's just super wide. It goes like 500. It goes sideways. Oh, dude, I'm making shit up as I go. Look at how freaking good this looks. Shwang. A little bit of glow. We can always play with it. It's definitely the color. I'm just not good with color. I'm not even colorblind. I have no excuse. I know some tricks, but that's for the future. I know some things. I'm keeping it pretty simple. That glow node was already pushing me over the edge. I was like, should I teach him about lens flares? I'm giving you the tools for success. Look at, shwang. Pretty good?
To keep it real, this is what I would do.
Okay, okay. You know, everyone's a composite. That looks pretty fucking awesome. Let's get this out of here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit tab. We're going to add in a write node. We read the footage in. Now we're going to write it out. File. Click on this little folder. Let's just put this thing back in the downloads. Right here, you can call it. So we're just going to call it node rage final .mov. If you throw in that .mov at the end, it'll auto set up the other stuff for you. Frames per second, 30. Perfect. Apple ProRes 422 HQ. Perfect. You can hit render right there. But also real fast, just in case you had a vertical video and your thing looks like this, all you need to do is that right before your write node, you're going to add a reformat node, set it to that root format 1920 by 1080p, and just click on turn. That's going to rotate your video before it exports it, and then on your phone you can rotate it back. I don't need that. Shwang! Save your project. So double click on here, hit render. We did it. That looks pretty fucking good. You did a good job. I hope you spent a little bit longer than me in the composite, really match those colors, play with the noise and the grain. And if we had more time in Blender, we would definitely add like surface imperfections on the paint, maybe some dirt on the windshield, things like that. It's tons of fun, but we didn't set out to do a photorealistic car. What I wanted you to do is just to make something in Blender and composite it in Nuke and just see how fun CGI could be. I hope you imagine all the possibilities, what we could do with this. We can make our own Fast and the Furious movies, dude. Episode 2, I think we're already going to make this thing drift. I have big plans, okay? Send me whatever you made. I'm on Instagram and TikTok. My name is Kurt Skelton. Thank you so much for watching the very first episode of Node Rage. Love you. Bye.